Within 200 years after it began, Christianity abandoned many of the teachings of its founder, Yeshua, commonly called Jesus. Influenced by Greek and Roman paganism, Zoroastrianism, and beliefs that even go back as far as Nimrod and the Tower of Babel, Christianity turned away from most of its Hebraic foundation. Worship rituals of the sun god Sol Invictus, who was born on December 25th, were adopted in rituals common in the modern holiday of Christmas. To continue this veneration of the sun god Sol Invictus, Constantine in the year 300 imposed Sunday to replace the biblical Sabbath. Other holidays like Easter and even Halloween were adopted in favor of the original Hebraic days of worship it once honored.
Hidden under the guise of Christianity. Easter has its own pagan origins as well. Easter is another name for Ishtar, the Assyrian and Babylonian goddess of war, sex, love, and fertility. Easter was celebrated as the day of the resurrection for the Babylonian god Tammuz, the son of Ishtar. Rabbits, another symbol for Easter, are a potent symbol of fertility due to their prodigious output of young. Eggs, likewise, have always been considered representative of new life, fertility, and reincarnation. Painted eggs, thought to imitate the bright sunlight and gaily colored flowers of spring, have been used in rituals since the days of the ancient Egyptians and Babylonians. Easter was also celebrated for the death and resurrection of many other pagan gods. It was simply the latest manifestation of earlier resurrection myths, like those of Osiris, Orpheus, Tammuz, and Dionysus, who were likewise said to have been born of virgins and resurrected 3 days after their deaths. Ishtar is Semiramis, which I explained in my previous two-part video about the origin of false religions. Semiramis claimed that she was immaculately conceived. She taught that she was a moon goddess that went through a 28-day cycle when ovulated and full. She further claimed that she came down from the moon in a giant moon egg that fell into the Euphrates River. This was to have happened at the time of the first full moon after the spring equinox. Semiramis became known as Ishtar, which is pronounced Easter, and her moon egg became known as Ishtar's egg, which today would be called an Easter egg. Ishtar soon became pregnant and claimed that it was the rays of the sun god Baal that caused her to conceive. The son that she brought forth was named Tammuz. Tammuz was noted to be especially fond of rabbits, and they became sacred in the ancient religion because Tammuz was believed to be the child of the sun god Baal. Tammuz, like his father, became a hunter. The day came when Tammuz was killed by a wild pig while on a hunt. Queen Ishtar told the people that Tammuz was now ascended to his father, and that the two of them would be with the worshippers in the sacred candle or lamp flame as Father, Son, and Spirit. Ishtar, who was now worshipped as the Mother of God and Queen of Heaven, continued to build her mystery religion. The queen told the worshippers that when Tammuz was killed by the wild pig, some of his blood fell on the stump of an evergreen tree, and the stump grew into a full new tree overnight. This made the evergreen tree sacred by the blood of Tammuz, which goes back to the origins of the Christmas tree. She also proclaimed a 40-day period of time of sorrow each year, prior to the anniversary of the death of Tammuz, which is where the 40 days of Lent come from. During this time, no meat was to be eaten. Worshippers were to meditate upon the sacred mysteries of Baal and Tammuz, and to make the sign of a T in front of their hearts as they worshipped. They also ate sacred cakes with a marking of a T or cross on the top, which is the origin of the hot cross buns. Every year, on the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox, a celebration was made. It was Ishtar Sunday and was celebrated with rabbits and eggs. Ishtar also proclaimed that because Tammuz was killed by a pig, that a pig must be eaten on that Sunday, which is where the tradition of eating an Easter ham comes from. By now you should have made the connection that paganism has infiltrated the contemporary Christian churches, and further study indicates that this paganism came in by way of the Roman Catholic system. The truth is that Easter has nothing whatsoever to do with Messiah Yahushua, or his resurrection. We also know that Easter can be as much as 3 weeks away from Passover, because the pagan holiday is always set as the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. Some have wondered why the word Easter is in the Bible. It is because Acts chapter 12 tells us that it was the evil King Herod who was planning to celebrate Easter, not the Jews. The true Passover and pagan Easter sometimes coincide, but in many years they are a great distance apart. We know that the Bible tells us in John 4:24 that God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. The truth is that the 40 days of Lent, eggs, rabbits, hot cross buns, and the Easter ham have everything to do with the ancient pagan religion of Mystery Babylon. These are all Antichrist activities. These customs of Easter honor Baal, who is in reality Nimrod but also Satan, and is still worshipped as the rising sun, and his house is called the house of the rising sun. This also coincides with all the sun imagery and worship and idolatry of the Catholic Church system. How many churches have sunrise services on Ishtar's day? and face the rising sun of the east? How many will use the colored eggs in rabbit stores as they did in ancient Babylon? We should be shunning and rebuking Easter and celebrating Passover.
Pagans commemorating the Ishtar event back in the days of Jesus would celebrate an open public sexual intercourse between pagan priests and virgin women upon an altar. After the public display of numerous interludes, the 3-month-old babies that came from the result of the sex acts in the previous year would be brought out to the altar and slaughtered as a sacrifice in the name of the goddess Ishtar. The blood of the babies would then be used to paint bird or chicken eggs red and then offered up at the altar to the goddess. These are the facts that are undisputed concerning the festival.
Every year. Well, how come one year Easter come in March and another year comes in April? Y'all crazy? Huh? Y'all crazy? You can't be killed in 2 different months. And so Easter is determined. Easter is a Latin word for Esther. Esther means fertility. That's why they talk about an egg in a rabbit. In a rabbit. Now, if you play that by what it should be, that's honoring the